They create temporary planetary magnetic grid collapse. They use ARC tools at Babylon and Nibiru data crystal grid at Stonehenge, England, to create a reverse fire letter sequence distortions, further ones, in the planetary grids, which cause major mutations in the function of the angelic human DNA template. The 3470 BC Babylon massacre, Galactic Federation, Luciferian, Palladian, and Nibiru and Anunnaki races steal Ark of the Covenant gold box and Stargate tools. They attempt world dominion, beginning in Marduk, Anunnaki, Draconian held Babylon. So Galactic Federation and these guys, the Thoth guys, go after the Draconian Anunnaki, the Marduk crew, that are holding Babylon. They create temporary planetary magnetic grid collapse. They use ARC tools at Babylon and Nibiru data crystal grid at Stonehenge, England, to create a reverse fire letter sequence distortions, further ones, in the planetary grids, which cause major mutations in the function of the angelic human DNA template, erases race memory. Because what was really getting on their nerves was the Marduk Anunnaki group, who's in competition with them. They have a draconian agenda. They had Babylon. They were progressively getting control of more grids, and it looked like they were going to get control of Stargate and QSite 10. And that could be a real problem. If you're going after Gate 11, you're going to have an issue happening. So they more than just wanting to neutralize the angelic humans, they wanted to erase the memory matrix and make it very difficult for the Leviathan races to communicate with each other, because they wanted to break up this little stronghold that was happening here. So they purposely contrived a way to use the checkerboard matrix mathematicals to create very specific mutations that would reverse part of the DNA, leave part of it normal. Reverse part, leave part normal. Which would mean half of your language signals would be backwards. Right now, our languages, we were talking about this last night, our languages, if you look at our alphabet in English, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? If you took it and went like A, B, C, and then D, E, A, B, C, D, I think it's on threes. A, B, C would be straight, let's say. Then you'd have E, F, G, you'd actually reverse them. F, E, G, you'd have to reverse every set of them to actually get the actual language that was there. We had to be given new languages to be able to speak again and to communicate again. And this is where Thoth likes to, and Galactic Federation like to say, oh, we came in and gave you languages. Yes, after you took them away, you know. Because the DNA and how it's sequenced determines what kind of sound frequencies we can process into cognition. And when they scrambled the DNA to the level that they did here, the old languages that we knew from Atlantis, we couldn't read them, we couldn't understand them, we couldn't make the sounds anymore. And this is part of the healing that will progressively take place. That's why when we use the Mua language translations to the clearest that they can be translated right now, those translations are progressively helping us to restore the original data banks on language that belong to this race. Okay. Okay. Anyway. Okay. Okay, they use the ARC tools, so they're trying to go after these guys to neutralize them and take care of the human races while they're at it. So they literally erased the memory records as well, where we'd have partial memory, and then the other part would be Nibiruan memory, where they literally plugged their memory grids. They started running holographic inserts, which are kind of like virtual reality pictures, down through the Nibiruan dotted crystal grid, down into the planetary radial body, which is like a projection screen. So for us to have memory, we are directly tapped into our personal radio bodies, which tap into the planetary radio body. So we started, the parts of our codes that were the normal, that weren't reversed, would hold the actual human memory. Then the other parts that were reversed would start to download Nibiruan memory, where we would progressively begin to build up the Nibiruan memory imprint, progressively reversing more of our DNA. Eventually we'll be talking totally backwards, compared to what we used to. And this has been the process by which, right now, we sit here, we don't remember who we are. We can't remember our other time vectors. And when we try to start remembering, we try to start pulling incarnational data, you can find all sorts of wacky stuff in there, stuff that doesn't quite sequence the right way. Because there's stuff spliced in between the natural sequence that wasn't meant to be there, and parts of the natural sequence were literally edited out of the memory banks on a planetary level. What we're doing with the Veka codes, we're working with them, the Veka codes put back the divine blueprint frequencies and the primal light and sound frequencies back into the planetary radio body and into our own, which means it's allowing the field to form again, the sound light field, that will allow the natural sequencing of our memory records on a planetary and a personal level to start coming back. Okay, let's see. Okay. All right. Now, when they did this, erase the memory. It blocks the natural Kundalini flow in the body. This mutation that they did through the grids. It not only did all those things and erased the memory, but it blocks the natural Kundalini flow in the body, causing pineal, thalamus, hypothalamus, and thyroid gland malfunctions that shorten human lifespan and block interdimensional perception in all but implanted Anu Melchizedek chosen ones, and it scrambles the natural language patterns. This was recorded as a Tower of Babel event. Now here, these body things that have taken place in our bodies since this time, because these glands, pineal is like sitting there dormant, and our scientists tell us it's like, atrophied because it doesn't do anything anymore. They have no idea what it did, right? It helped us ascend. That's what it did. These organs have been progressively malfunctioning, and the malfunction gets worse, a little bit worse with each generation, because each generation amplifies whatever coding it has. Now, these things create the chemicals that are created in the body, the biochemicals that are created in the body and in the brain because of these malfunctions, literally progressively poison the body to the point where it shortened its lifespan hugely, where even before these mutations, at least I think we lived about 800 years, 800 to 1,000 years then. Before that, we were immortal, and they took that away by the first level of by first cutting off the D12 frequency. Then after that, they amplified that, and we were able to live shorter periods when they did the 25,500 BC Nibiru Vedic crystal grid. Then they amplified it again and took us from at least having an 800 to 1,000 year lifespan down to having 75 to 100 year lifespan, and that's what we have now. I mean, this stuff is nasty. It just amazes me what kind of mentality could actually do that and live with itself.